What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Why Are We Here? I'm your host, Spencer Crandall, and today's episode is with my good buddy, Ashley Cooke. She's currently blowing up all over the internet, and you are not going to want to miss this conversation. We get into faith, friendship, TikTok, all the stuff. Check it out. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or on YouTube. I think you're going to love this convo. Check it out with Ashley Cooke. Get into it. Why are we here? Well, I think we're just gonna freaking rock into it.
Let's just do it.
Ashley Cooke in the studio. Ashley, can you cook?
I'm the best cook
I feel
in
like
my
that
family.
would be.
I will say that.
If I was on radio, that's how I'd start an interview with you.
Terrible way to start the
I'm here with Ashley Cooke. Ashley, can you cook?
I can cook like buttered noodles.
Can you? It's gonna be the old the fly.
There's a fly flying around somewhere. And
well, first of all, before we hop in anything, I appreciate you. We had a last-minute cancellation. I texted you. I said, Ashley, will you be my hero? And you said yes. And you hopped in. And so now in the studio, in the flesh, Ashley Cooke, a friend, a compadre, a, collaborator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Done a lot of stuff. So I've gotten to know you now for a long time, and it's been super fun. You've become one of my better friends in town, and it's been really sweet. First of all, like watching you blow up on the interwebs, I feel like everybody in town that I talk to is like, you're one of the first people that they bring up of people who are killing it. So it's super fun, and I want to make sure the entire world knows about you and knows your story and all that stuff. So we're going to get into that, but I just wanted to make that. The flies, it's going to attack us all the time.
We're just going to ignore it. It's okay. But no, thank you. Seriously. Like, you've become one of my better friends in town. So
of course. I told you I was going to make you cry in this interview. So my goal in minute one was to see if I could get you
just
to
sing my person and I'll break down in tears.
My person.
Just like the record. Just like it.
I would say so. So you've been in Nashville on and off for a super long time. You are kind of like a very interesting story in that you did music from like a very young age.
Yeah,
you were
I was
in
like
a
10 years
a
old.
duo with your sister. What was that called? What did you guys even call it?
It went from Jenny and Ashley to the Lockets.
The Lockets. Where did the Lockets come from?
Honestly, I don't even remember.
Just because it sounded cute?
Now that I'm thinking about it, so we were obsessed with the movie Annie when we were younger.
Yeah.
You know, she has that locket that her parents gave her.
Oh.
So we started singing together because of the movie Annie. And so the Lockets kind of just came from that.
That is adorable.
Now that I'm
Oh my gosh.
I just remember that, yeah.
Do you miss like performing and like collaborating with your sister? Because I just feel like whether or not it was the right fit or like you guys are now, she's an actress, she's killing it. She just filmed a Hallmark movie. Yeah. And she's a sweetheart. We just had I Heart Sushi, not I Love Sushi.
I love sushi. I love sushi.
And I feel like it would just be so fun to collaborate with your siblings.
It definitely was. We grew up doing music together and traveling around the country together and collaborating. But honestly, I just don't think it was the right project.
Sure.
And, you know, in time, it came to be that it just wasn't right because she wanted to do acting and I wanted to do music.
Yeah.
So I definitely miss spending that much time with her.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask because I feel like the proximity just breeds familiarity, which breeds relationships. And
it does.
Yeah, like I'm now the only Crandall sibling that lives in Nashville, and my parents now live here. Yeah. And they're actually here today. Hi, Mom and Dad. They're watching at the other room.
They're the best.
They are the best. Rusty and Sherry. My older brother's also here, which has been super fun. I think my sister might be in town tonight, and
awesome.
It's just fun being around your family. I feel like you're a family person, correct? And you guys moved around a lot growing up. Because I feel like every time I looked into where you grew up, it was like 900 cities.
That's always the hardest question to answer, too, because I lived in 19 different homes before I was 18.
19 different homes before 18?
Yeah, it was crazy. My dad was in corporate, and so they moved him around a lot for his job, and then my sister and I were in music, so
I feel like that's going to pay dividends in the touring life, where you're going to have like this like home is wherever I am kind of vibe.
But see, the issue, home is wherever my family is usually. So now that I'm not going to have them with me because I'm 23, almost 24.
Well, you are because you're going to have big ol' hits and then you're going to just have like another bus where they just follow you.
They got their own lives. They're like, you crush it, but we're going to do our own thing.
The Cook Squad.
I know, the Cook Squad, but.
And they're going to cook, you guys are going to cook for me.
Buttered noodles.
Buttered noodles.
Yes. I'm the best cook in my family. My mom burns water. She always says that too. She's horrible.
How about your sister? Nothing.
horrible at cooking.
Dad, nothing.
Nothing. He grills. He's a grill master. But like,
Cookmeister's the grill master.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So your parents are in DC now.
They are. Yeah, they just moved there like 4 months ago. Just a brand new house. They did this whole like, backyard situation. It's amazing up there. Like, I love it.
Do you miss having them here?
Yes, but it's kind of nice to like go visit them somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like have like a home elsewhere.
Home away from home.
Yeah, because Nashville can be a lot sometimes. So
Nashville can be a lot sometimes. And you've been in town forever, like because you did like the Lockets thing. Then you were a Belmont graduate.
Yeah.
Then I feel like your big kind of break or like breakthrough was the Belmont Showcase. Can you talk about like?
Yeah.
Because when I looked into it, I was like, oh, she wasn't in it. She won it. You won the Belmont like senior. Is it a senior showcase?
Senior. Well, it's honestly any grade can do it. Oh. But I was a communications and marketing major, so like nothing to do with music at all, like whatsoever. And usually people in showcase do stuff with music, like they're music majors, music business majors, whatever it is. So I applied my senior year like totally on a whim, having zero expectation whatsoever. Because people, I mean, like Florida Georgia Line, Brad Paisley, like Chris Young, they've all won it when they went to Belmont.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's like a legendary thing.
Goodness.
So I applied, right? So I applied, like,
now
okay, you know,
Cook.
I'm like bucket list, like let's just try it.
Sure.
Got in, made it to the finals, won the damn thing, played best of the best, and it was like kickstart from there for a career. So
That's huge.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a lot of opportunities came from that, or was it more getting on people's radar and they're like, oh, okay?
It was more the radar thing, and also I don't think I was really like fully ready to jump into being an artist full time at that point. I had performed my whole
19
life.
or something.
I was like, yeah, I think 18 because my birthday's in June, so I was like.
You're a youngin'.
Fresh, yeah. I lied. That's high school. College.
I was about to say. Oh, I guess you would have had to be
20. Wait, hold on. 29. Hold on. I'm like bad at math. We're in music for a reason.
21, 22, 18 plus 4 years, 22.
22.
Maybe 21 because you're a baby.
But no, I mean, I had performed my whole life, and I knew how to do that, right? I knew how to perform, how to, work to a crowd, but the music wasn't there. I had no clue who I wanted to be as an artist, like my brand, my sound, any of that. So it really just kind of like put me on Nashville's radar, but it took me a solid 2 years now to really actually figure out like my sound, what I want to do.
But that's quick.
Build a fan base. Is that though?
Yes.
I feel like I've been in it though. But I've been here for about 10 years. So maybe that's why I think I just am like, all right, well, I'm ready to go. I just need to get the music right.
Yes, and I understand that. But like you were in college, like you said, like your first real crack at it was like 2 years ago, and look what you've done in 2 years. That's very exciting. A lot of people spend their entire lives trying to get, and you might not be able to hear this or like say this, but a lot of people try their entire lives to do what you've done in the last 2 years, which is very exciting. And you're what, 24, 23?
24 in like 2 weeks, yeah.
Goodness gracious.
It is crazy. I won't lie. I think it feels like I've been at it for so long because I was 10 when I wrote and performed my first song.
You've been in the industry.
Yeah, but people don't really know that in Nashville, which is the cool thing because I was under the Lockets, like with my sister in the duo for so long. So I learned so many things. I was on Music Row when I was, 14-year-old writing songs.
Wow.
So I really learned so much under that umbrella. And then I came out from the Belmont Showcase, and people were like, "Who is this girl? Who is Ashley Cooke? What is this?" Because they had never heard my name, even though they may have met me in writing rooms and seen me on rounds.
Right.
They had no clue who I was because it was under my sister and I's duo. So
yeah, I feel like you talked about how you didn't know who you were. I came to town and tried to be so many different people, and that's kind of part of, doing music or any like art stuff is like. You want to just you see what's successful, and you're like, oh, I'll do that. And then people very quickly will tell you, like, we already have a insert person, a Carrie Underwood, a Maren Morris. Like, who are the people that you emulated? And then maybe talk about, like, what now you're kind of, not that you, like, have found it, because I don't know if that really exists, but the things that are just interesting you right now in the music that you're making. But start with the people that inspired you first.
I mean, growing up, I loved like Rascal Flatts. I mean, their lyrics. I actually just wrote yesterday with Jay DeMarcus from Rascal Flatts. So it's crazy. It really feels like everything is so full circle. And Rakaya Marshall, who's like my person that I work with every day, she's so tied in with like the Big Loud crew, which is the Florida Georgia Line crew, which they were like one of my biggest.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. You're like, if I could be, like the super quick elevator pitch, like the female. FGL, like that energy in their songs and their career. So I think that's a great example.
Yeah, I mean, my entire high school was when I really fell in love with country music, and that the soundtrack to the mudding and the bonfires and all that was Florida Georgia Line, was Jason Aldean, it was Luke Bryan, it was some Rascal Flatts. So that whole world really influenced me and inspired me to want to do what I'm doing now. And I mean, my sound right now, I don't want to put myself in a box. You know, I think.
You're talking to the guy who hates answering that question.
Exactly.
That's why I try to phrase it in like, what's interesting to you right now? Because you can outgrow that, or you can change, or you can completely contradict yourself, because I continue to do that, and it's fun.
Sure.
That's the whole point of making music. It's kind of crazy how, especially in country music, people are like, this is the sound for everybody, and this, if you don't fit in this, you know,
it's ever-changing.
We both kind of disagree with that. But I was just curious if there was anybody that really inspires you right now, maybe in your writing, in your in your shows, stuff like that. And it could be just the same people. Cause
honestly, Dan and Shay, their show, I saw them live at Bridgestone, like right before the whole world, the Panini happened.
Jeff and I too, the Panini. Right before the Panini, Jeff and I saw the Dan and Shay Stadium show.
That blew my mind.
Like the lights and the songs, it's crazy, because I feel like you see people early on, and they're slightly ahead of where we are, but like I remember hearing 19 You and Me when I was on a vacation in Mexico, and just replaying that song, but I was like, oh, these are undiscovered people. And then to be at Bridgestone, where there's, I don't know, thousands and thousands of people screaming 10,000 hours.
It's crazy seeing them grow like that. I just love, like, and I'm sure you respect this too, they've really mixed the way that pop is so infectious. They've mixed that with country, but the lyric still hits you just as hard as traditional country would, but it has like a modern twist to it, a modern sound to it, and I love that. So their live show is unbeatable to me. I love their stuff. It's amazing.
What's your favorite part of the process? Like writing, performing, is it the internet? Is it TikTok? Is it like a combination of some of those things?
It's performing for me, hands down. That's where I started, you know. Back in LA, I did like performance workshops just for the hell of it, just for fun, to hang out with my friends, and I just could not get enough of it. I was never nervous up on a stage. Somehow I understood how to kind of fit the vibe, change the set, you know, on the fly to like, make it work with the crowd. Like, performing has always just been my number one. I love all of it. You know, I've been writing since I was a kid too, but something about even being in the writer's room, I think, okay, how would this translate on a stage? You know, how would these people in this city and this type of vibe, I need something for that moment in the set when they're really wanting this. Yeah. You know, like that, just the performance part of it just really gets me going.
I love that, because I feel like I've witnessed that in you, like even at the listening room, at Whiskey Jam.
Whiskey Jam,
yeah,
we played
like,
together,
I could already tell, I'm like, oh, she writes for the stage. And not that like you're not trying to find incredible lyrics, but there's this extra thing that happens when you have just like kind of like FGL or Dan and Shay or Rascal Flatts, where there's these big hit songs with big moments, and you can do that melodically. You can do that with the lyric.
Yeah.
You have a ton of great songs. Your first song you put out was Jealous of the Sky. What was it like putting out music for the first time? Because I don't think a lot of people understand how much goes into that, especially you're an independent artist. I'm an independent artist. That's why we're kindred spirits, baby. Oh, just hit the mic. We're kindred spirits in that, because we wear a billion hats. I quite literally have to wear a hat every day because I'm bald, but you wear a ton of hats. You wear a ton of hats as well, in that you don't have a label, you don't have a marketing team on deck, and so like you've gotten so creative in that. Maybe talk about the process of being an independent artist in 2021, and you do have a team with Rakai and some help and
That's
stuff.
my team.
Yeah,
that's my team. Rakai's my team.
You and Rakai are me and Jeff. It's so fun. We kind of have this like, same kind of relationship with our managers.
Yeah, I mean, independent in 2021, it's a lot of fun. I won't lie. Like, it's a good time because you have so much creative control, and you get to taper what you release to what people respond to. It's a lot of fun. But like Jealous of the Sky, I wasn't even planning to release that. I wrote that song about my best friend that passed away when I was 18 and had zero intention of putting that out ever. And then I put it on TikTok just to kind of see, you know,
the internet
get an idea.
Took it
and people were begging me for it.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, being like, hey, like, I really
remember that. I saw
this.
the first video that you posted, and there was like thousands of comments.
Yeah, people just saying like, hey, I lost my brother or my mom or whoever. And I was like, all right, well, I was only going to write this for myself and keep it as like soul food for me. But if they need it, that's the whole point. That's the whole point that we do this, you know, is to give it to people. So it's been fun because I really do get to, you know, alter my releases and my album and what it looks like based off what people respond to. And that's not, I mean, people on major labels can't exactly say that. It's like,
they cannot do that.
6 months out planning what they're going to release. And I think that labels are starting to kind of figure out the new method as well.
Do you?
I do. I really do. I mean, in talking to some labels too, like I think that it's just hard for them because it's such a massive machine. You know, how can they taper something a week before release? Right. But, you know, it's just different. But
it's very different, and I think you've done a great job. You know, I'm still waiting for my check in the mail because you would have never been on TikTok if it wasn't for me.
Oh, whatever.
You know, it's like, do you owe your entire? I guess my biggest question I have. It's right here. Do you owe your entire career to Spencer Crandall? We want the truth. Go ahead.
Yes. I'm gonna whisper it because I can't say it. No, so okay. For those
tell
of
the
y'all
story. Tell the story. Because I didn't
So-
actually know this until recently.
Really? How
No.
did you? Okay. Anyways, let me tell the story and then we can talk about how you figured it out. So I
Okay,
graduated
go.
from Belmont from that showcase that we just talked about. Ready to hit Nashville, right? Like ready to just attack it with songwriting and with writing, playing shows, and just the traditional way that new artists kind of get on the scene in Nashville, right? Quarantine hits. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I can't. The panini, the damn panini, the parallelogram. I've heard all of these hysterical things. But so it hits, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know. I can't play shows. I can't write. I can't do any of the things that I've been told to do by so many of those before me, right? I go to Florida to quarantine with my parents. South Florida, where they used to live before they moved to D.C. I'm out by the pool every day tanning, just like, what am I doing with my life? You know, just like getting a tan, just doing some live streams on Instagram, but really nothing else. And one of my friends from home sent me your video of the high to low challenge. You know, you remember that? Like the
I do.
Lay
Yeah,
me down,
lay me down or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And so my friend was like, hey, you know, you should do this. You should do this challenge. So I'm sitting here like, TikTok, really? Like, no hate on TikTok, but like I really wasn't on it that much.
Well, and you were on early, and that's like kind of both of our stories. Like, we got on kind of, you know, in quotes, before it was cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought it was like 12-year-olds dancing, which it still
it kinda
is.
was, yeah.
And it was. But I think there's a lot of us who kind of saw that, like, oh, it's just real humans and the attention's there. And so,
Absolutely. And it's just
you're
another
smart.
way to reach new eyeballs. That's the bottom line. You know, there's always somebody out there that has no clue who you are, and you get to show them your music. So
Yeah.
I was just, you know, winging it. I wasn't even thinking any of that. I was like, you know, whatever. This is cool. This Spencer dude seems cool. We kind of ran in the same circles in Nashville.
we
we
did.
never really
For a
hung
long
out
time.
or talked. And so I was like, all right, well, no makeup on my face, hair, you know, braids in my hair, just hopped in my parents' guest room and recorded this video, like a 2-take video of me singing the high to low challenge,
Yeah.
saying like, oh my gosh, tagged you in the what's it called, the caption.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, hey, Spencer, like, thank you for the challenge. And it blew up. Like,
You got like 1 million views.
a million views in like a day, 2
day.
days.
Because I saw yours, and I was like, whoa, that blew up.
working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
My mom always says she remembers the days because back when that happened, we had like a game night for every time it would get over like 100,000 views or whatever.
Yeah.
And now she's like, look at you now. So,
Right.
But yeah, so it blew up and I caught the bug. And that's kind of like that video is what started my whole TikTok journey, like because of your high to low challenge.
Yeah, so, you know,
So
I'm
thank
waiting for
you.
the check.
Whatever.
I love that story because that's what TikTok's all about, is like seeing something and then putting your spin on it. And I feel like you've done that really well, of like seeing trends. Obviously, you have the 615 House with Chris Rudiger, which I've done a bunch of stuff with, and that's been a super successful project for you. And it's still growing, and it's still changing, and you guys keep evolving that. And like as the pandemic ends, it's kind of like your pandemic project. I think you're going to keep expanding that, which is super exciting.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite part of TikTok and the internet, and what's your like least favorite part?
Least favorite part? Favorite part of TikTok? Man, I mean, it's opened so many doors for me, so it's hard to pick like a favorite. I think live streams are probably my favorite part of the entire app because every time I get on there, I mean, this has happened so many times where I get on this live stream, there's like, you know, 100 people, 200 people on this live stream. I'll play a song that I wrote yesterday, and it's like, hey guys, new song, whatever, just gonna, you know, mess with it, see what happens. I play it one time on a live stream. And the next 3 months, every single live stream, like 4 people ask, hey, can you play that one song that you played? And then at my show in the next couple months, they're like, hey, can you play that one song that you played? So it's like, it's infectious the way that it catches. So live streams to me are my favorite.
When I've been at Old Red or the Listening Room or Whiskey Jam, where like you have people driving from Ohio or flying from California to watch you play an unreleased song that they heard on TikTok Live.
It's
so
insane.
it's working for you
It's
so
crazy.
well.
Yeah, and
it's
even
been
like,
awesome to watch.
I mean, thank you. Even at like the listening room show a couple weeks ago, I posted this clip of my new song Under that's coming out soon. And I posted it literally 2 hours before that show. And I looked into the crowd, and there's a girl singing the lyrics to it. And I'm like, how is this even?
In what world could you, I mean, only in 2021 with TikTok. That's why a lot of people, a lot of our peers, I think, they get frustrated with the app.
Understandably.
And very understandably. It's the Wild West. Nobody has a fucking clue what's going on.
Yes.
Us very included. Like, but that's the power of it, is that you can really reach people now, today. There's no middlemen. And you've done such a great job of that. Least favorite part?
Favorite? Honestly, what you just said. Nobody knows what's going on with it, right? And we've talked about this a lot, too. Like, there is no consistency with it. I just hit the mic, too. At all. So we always talk about this. Like, there's a video that I'm like, oh, this is like for sure going viral. Okay, and it's like 200 views, and I'm like, well, what is happening? And then a video of me like talking about some
the two takes,
crazy
the 2-take challenge. The first thing you do, like, how would you have guessed like the first video I do will get 1 million, and then that's your bar.
That's the bar. That's the hard thing too. And you always tell me this too, which is why I love you as a friend and as a human. My person. I had to.
You're counting at home. That's for my person.
You always tell me too, like, don't overthink it, because the app is structured to where you can overdo the same content in different ways, and it will never be overdone. Like, you can just keep trying stuff and just see what sticks. So thank you for keeping me sane.
Of course, that's that's what I'm here for.
That's definitely
add to the check that's already in the mail.
Shut up.
So Under's June 1st.
June 1st
is the next single. I heard you play this at the listening room. I'm super excited about it. Tell me your thoughts, like what the song means to you, and kind of how excited you are that it's going to be out in the world, because I feel like it is one of those TikTok things where you posted it on your Instagram, you like 1,000 comments, people like, put this out right now. Ah.
Yeah, it was nuts. I mean, I wrote it with John Byron and Rocky Block, who you know both of them pretty well. They're freaking awesome. But honestly, like, without saying too much, I went through like a breakup, I guess you could call it, recently. Just lost my best friend in the whole world, so it was just a hard time. And you know, as writers, we write what is true to us. So I wrote what was true to me, and that's that song. So I hope that honestly somebody can relate to it, and that's the only reason I'm putting it out. So
yeah. Well, a ton of people are already relating to it. I'm super pumped for that release. I'm super pumped for like your whole career. I'm pumped that I have a friend in town who like kind of does the same stuff as me and kind of gets it. Like, there's not a ton of us that do that.
It's very true.
There's a super crazy thing that happened to you with the Bobby Bones show. You were on a Country Now takeover or something like that. You're on the takeover, and I mean, I'll let you tell it. Just what happened, because like you posted, somebody asked you a question like, "Who do you want to interview you the most?" And you're like, "Be kind of sick if Bobby Bones interviewed me," and
he did. Literally.
Well, how did he see that?
So, Country Now. I'm trying to think about like how exactly this even happened, because this was like a couple months ago. This was back October of this past year.
Yeah.
So it was a good bit ago. But Country Now had asked me to take over their Instagram because of my release of Jealous of the Sky, my first song ever. And the question was asked, I answered the question, and he saw it, and
So he followed that
slid in my
account
DMs.
by chance, like Country Now, and was like, "Hey, I can make that happen."
Literally. And he slid in my DMs. And then like a week later, I was
So Bobby Bones slid in your DMs.
Actually, it was Mike, who's the producer
Mike
of the
D.
show. Yeah, Mike D. I love him.
I don't know him, but I listen to their podcast sometimes. He's
that's
really
crazy.
nice. Yeah.
But you just gotta get savvy with those things sometimes, you know? Like that's
Well, that's
what the
why I love you,
industry
because you're so savvy, and it's not this like ladder climbing thing. It's like you're just smart. You know how to work the internet. You know how to get people's attention. Like that's the name of the game. So then you ended up on the Bobby Bones show. Now they're playing your song on Sirius XM pretty much because of that, right? Is that like Amy, Bobby? Like, what was the situation there?
Honestly, I don't even really fully know, because that was a different song. So Jealous of the Sky was played on the Bobby Bones show, and they also played my other song, Sunday Morning, Kind of Saturday Night, which was the next release after that one, the most recent release.
Yeah.
And then The Highway picked it up on the Horizon, and they played it for like weeks.
Yeah, you're over here like, I feel like I just haven't done a lot. And you're like, on the radio, you have millions of views, TikToks.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
you know this, and I'm sure any artist listening too, like, we always want to do the next thing, which...
Correct. But I'm not going to let you pass what you're doing now without celebrating for a quick second, because you are killing it and you're doing great things. And so this is my way. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I mean, that's honestly like one of my New Year's resolution goals. It's like, it's freaking like June, and I'm like, my New Year's resolution goals. No, but really, like, I have this tendency in my family too. My dad's a corporate businessman. Like, we're all just very hard workers. I don't stop to like think about what just happened and how cool it was. I'm always like, okay, so what's next? What else can I do? What's the next step? What can I keep pushing for? Keep pushing the boundary. But sometimes you have to sit there and just realize kind of what you've accomplished. But
you have to, because otherwise it's not as sweet.
Yeah, but not until the stadium for you.
Yeah,
stadium gang, let's go.
She gets it. This is why I love you. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Jeff and I are terrible at it. As I'm looking at Jeff,
it's easy.
It's easy to forget, like, because you're normal as a human. Your normal is your normal. Your life is your life. You don't, like, the novelty of something can wear off so quickly. And I remember the first time I got 1 million views, I freaked out. I was on a high for like what felt like 2 weeks. And then it's so dumb how this happens, but like sometime in the last couple weeks, I had something pop off and it got watched like 990K. And I was like, oh,
it's not
under
a
$1 million.
Yeah.
And I literally like stopped and I like said out loud, I was like, change your brain, because that's so unhealthy. It's so gross. If you put 1 million people in the same place, that would blow our minds.
Yeah.
And with how many streams you have on songs, like we both have this fun position where they are big enough numbers now where they kind of don't even make sense. But you have to take that second, and we're both, why I love you as a friend is because we're both trying to push each other to do that, is to take the time and like, hey, that's actually really cool. You should celebrate that. Hey, that's like really...
But it's tough. And
it's so
the
tough.
reason why it's hard, I think, is because we live in this world with social media that, you know, it's double-edged sword, because somebody out there is always doing something more than you are. And that's just how it's going to always be.
Forever and ever.
So you'll never be on the top of the top of the top. And if you are, it'll be for a split second and then you'll fall right back down. Like, it's never going to be fully, you are just always succeeding, and it's always going to be this. And we both got to be okay with that.
And would you want that? That's what I'm asking myself all the time, is like, okay, say the first song you put out, you were just like Garth Brooks, and that's all you were for the rest of your life. Like, there's no struggle in that. Like, that's not the movie that we actually want to watch. The movie that we actually want to put on is like the person who tried and then they failed and then they tried again and they failed harder and then everybody counted them out, but then they put out a song and they scrape back a little bit. Like, that's the stories that I love. If I'm at a dinner party and someone's like, you know, I tried basketball and I was incredible. And then, tried polo, also incredible. Yeah, like, then I got a Grammy and a Tony, and like, I can't relate to that person.
Well, and that's what happens to, you know, not to hate on it, but like cancel culture, right? That's what happens with cancel culture, is that these people blow up and everybody praises them for so long, and then they just want to tear them down so badly.
Isn't it weird? Like, I feel like that's almost, that effect that you're talking about is almost like less cancel culture. It's more like what I call the Tom Brady effect, which is like, we love to watch people win until they win too much. And then we're like, oh, that's annoying. Because I think so many people hate, like, Scandal Noted to like Ellen or Tom Brady or like Jimmy Fallon or even like Luke Bryan or somebody, where they're just so good at what they did for so long. There's this weird, like...
people get jealous or it just gets old.
Yeah, in society, like, it's okay if you don't like something, but there's this weird, like, how do we tear them down?
I think everybody loves an underdog because they can relate to it. That's the bottom line. So when you get to the point that you're too polished and too perfect, people don't like that. But the Taylor Swift documentary said it the best at the end. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
At the end when she was
so
like,
good.
I always have to keep reinventing myself and whatever, and like, she just didn't stake her worth in other people's opinions, which is the most important part, because also both of us as people of social media, so much of where we are right now is because of the people that are watching us on social media. Right. So how do you not base your opinions and your worth and all of that in those humans and their opinions and their comments, you know?
Yeah, you're nowhere without them, but also you can't quite listen to them all the time.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, and it, you know, like, I'm always telling myself this, and tell me, you know, I'll put this quarter in your jukebox, let me know it comes out.
Hit me.
Like, I try to tell myself, if you believe oh my God, you're the next Carrie Underwood, you're the best, then you can also believe like, you're terrible, you're not country, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't believe either of them, which I think is kind of the healthy place to live, which is like, you know, there's kind of these old, like, Buddhist parables where somebody will say, like, hey, you won $1 million. And he's like, are you pumped? And he's like, perhaps. And then the $1 million, he buys a farm, and the farm burns down, and it takes his son. And people go, oh, are you depressed? And he goes, perhaps. But it took his son, and that's how he met, you know, the love of his life, because his wife had died. Like, so it's always this thing where you never know. And so it's better to just say like, yeah, maybe that will happen, but all that's out of my control. If I'm the worst, if I'm the best, to kind of sit in the place of like, yeah, that's out of my control. I'm going to do what I can do.
It's a really great point. I love that. I love that idea that people can't determine how you feel about yourself,
No.
and for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier said than done. That's the hard part.
Oh, yeah. By the way, this is in health.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what's hard. I think we're all trying to get to a healthy place with it. Mm-hmm. Because these viral moments, they happen like this. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, when's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one?
Mm-hmm. But it's very drug
it is
ish.
And you almost kind of have to have that desire to have another hit or whatever it is, because if you don't, you don't have the motivation to get there. Yeah, and you kind of need that.
There's like this double-edged sword. If you don't ever have this like, I need more, then you're probably not going to go super hard and it's not going to happen for you.
Exactly.
But if you have too much of it, you'll burn out. And like, I think you and I both probably have a couple more drops of the like go, go, go than everybody else, which is great.
But it's also...
But it can be very toxic. And,
exactly.
How does faith or how you grew up, how your parents raised you, influence your career, influence your music, influence where you are today and how you deal with some of that stuff?
It's a huge part, honestly. And I won't lie, like, it's so easy when things get crazy, when 1 million views hit or whatever it is, to just completely forget to thank God for what he's done. Because even launching 615 House, like Chris will tell you and everybody that was there, I'm such a big person of faith. Like, I've always believed in God. I've always, I've had my tough parts with it, but at the end of the day, I've always come back to it. And even launching 615 House, when we hit post on the first ever video, I was like, hey, God, please be with us in this moment. If this is what you want, you take it, you take the reins, and you make it happen. It's always a big part of what I'm doing. And I forget too often, and I'm mad at myself for that, but I'm going to keep trying to put that in the center of everything, because I truly believe that's the reason why I'm here and why I got to where I am currently. So.
Yeah. What do you think, like you say, that's the reason that you are where you are? Like, the podcast is called Why Are We Here? Which is
for sure
great. And that's, I think, a big part of what I want to get into in this podcast is some of the, like, what you believe in and kind of like, I think obviously you're a person of faith. What is something like your mission statement, or like something that you try to live by? Is there like a Bible verse? Is there a something that you heard along the way? Is it kind of just simple? Like, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just something that, like, maybe just something that keeps you inspired, or something that you heard recently.
One of my favorite verses is Romans 12:2. It's my sister and I's, both of our verses. We found
the Lockets verse.
The Lockets. We found the verse separately and ended up both loving it.
I just have to really quick. I have to interrupt you. You have to, for Christmas or something, get her a locket,
oh my
with
gosh.
the verse in it.
That's so cheesy.
But it's beautiful. Everybody at home just cried.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can't see it right now, but people be crying.
Oh my gosh. No, but it's Romans 12:2. And it says, do not conform to the ways of the world. And I have a hard time, and we've talked about this a lot with faith. Like, I've questioned a lot. We've all questioned a lot. I mean, it's natural to question what you believe. But that, to me, like, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And, it, sometimes I totally just blank on what that even means. And when it hit me,
because it loses novelty. You hear something
it does.
You grew up in the church, you have it written on, or it's like your bio or whatever, and it kind of like loses its worth.
Yeah, but that's also, like you just said, grew up in the church. I grew up with parents that really believed that the red letters in the Bible were everything, and that, Jesus did come to save us and to change everything. But they never forced me to sit in a pew or, worship or go to church on Sunday. Like, we honestly didn't even really go to church growing up, which is why I think I am so passionate about my faith, because they let me kind of find it on my own completely.
Yeah.
And I questioned it for a long time because, again, my best friend passed away.
Yeah.
And when you're 18 and your best friend passes away from a terrible disease that you see the whole time, how can you believe that there's a good God? You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's something I really struggle with. Is like, and I think that's a lot of people. And I'm not the first person to bring up this kind of a point, but it's like, it is just so tough to believe that, like, something like free will exists, because free will gives us the ability to, like, murder or just for somebody to die of cancer. It just feels so unfair. It's been a huge part of my journey with faith and deconstruction and trying to find where I land, and that's kind of the whole point of this podcast. I want to ask people like you who are smarter than me, like, help me figure this out, but is like, that's the stuff that is so tough as a human because it can't be black and white. And I don't know if we ever get those answers. It's something I really struggle with because we're both control people, which we've talked about a million times.
Which is why I have the hardest time sometimes when I really sit in it and think, like, am I just, like, speaking to the ceiling right now? Like, what am I really doing right now? And honestly, like, one of my favorite quotes that I forget who told me this, but somebody said, like, the problem with churches right now is that everybody's worshiping each other when we're supposed to be worshiping something above us, a power above us. That's, like, the bottom line. That's the thing, and that's the issue that I ran into too. Is I was a worship leader in church for a long time, and they would tell me to raise my hands higher and to act like I'm more into it, and I was like, I listened to it because that's
I did the
what
same
you're
thing. I
supposed to
led
do.
like worship a couple times growing up, like with the little kid. I had like the kind of pretty little boy voice.
Yeah.
So puberty wrecked me, and it's like performative, which it's okay. But it was confusing.
It's still confusing.
It's very
to me.
confusing. And like and a lot of the churches today that I go to or that I see, I feel like a lot of it is this like, what is this for? Are the big lights and the speakers and the smoke and like
nobody has the answers.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to argue with my Bible teacher in college because I just had so many questions. I just so wanted to know the free will versus all of it. Like I was so curious, and he was a scholar in this. And one day I remember he looked at me after like probably the 7th class, and I was just hounding him in front of the whole class, like, but why? Why does this not make sense? And he was like, Ashley, I don't have all the answers. Nobody on this planet has all the answers. So if you want to find them, you need to go do your own research and find because honestly, if the God that I believe in wants you to be aware of that and wants to help grow you in your faith, he will give you those answers.
Right.
That's the bottom line. Believe what you want to believe. I was like, that's so true. Because if you think about it, like, I could tell you all day why to believe a certain thing, but it's not on me to make you believe something or to not make you believe something. That's on you to find your answers to find.
Yeah, and it's something I'm constantly curious about. I knew it's something that is super important to you, and it's kind of like it is your why. Is like this relationship that you have with God, with your family. Do you have like this pressure to have a legacy, leave a legacy, think about your legacy? Like, is that something that's interesting to you at all?
It's definitely interesting, mainly because, people like Michael Jackson did do that so well, and his music will live on forever, and that's something that obviously I think everybody wants to have some kind of legendary legacy with the art that they create. But I don't know. I feel like I haven't really thought about that much right now. I think it's just because I'm so focused on tomorrow, on the next day, not, eternity of what what I'm going to leave behind.
Yeah.
Maybe I should be.
Well, what I think, and you said like the word eternity, what I actually, a tool that I keep in my little
pull it out, whip
Spencer
it out.
tool, well, I wouldn't say that. The tool that I keep in my toolbox is like that legacies actually don't last as long as we want them to. Like you can think of who's the most famous person in 1700, and you're like, oh yeah.
I'm also
nobody
the worst
knows.
with history. I was homeschooled, so I
Right, but
I
like even
missed
those
that.
people, they get a page in a history book. They get a day a year. They get Prince, Michael Jackson. Pick your favorite person who made art, who made an impact. Abraham Lincoln, whatever. They get a penny or something like that, and it's cool, and that's incredible. But on the day to day, we don't think about that. And another tool in my toolbox is like something that gives me. It takes pressure off. Is like 100 years, new people. Like we all act like this is gonna go on forever, and we need this legacy, and we need to leave something behind. In reality, like it's not as important, or this is what I try to tell myself: is it's not as important as I want it to be, which is actually kind of beautiful. As you step forward and you fail and you don't make as big of an impact, or the song doesn't go as big as you want. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, but why am I doing this? It's not to have my face on the penny. It's not to, have an award named after me. Because I'm not going to be around that. It's to enjoy the process. It's to, instead of trying to solve the mystery, it's can you enjoy the dance with the mystery and turning the gem and seeing it through a different light at every angle. Being like, whoa, I never thought of it that way. Whoa. And then when your time's up and they go, do you have the answer? Or this is at least, some of the stuff I think about or believe, or not even believe, but just think about, is if someone's like, do you have the answers? I might not, but I think I will really have enjoyed the process and have learned a lot of trying to find the answers. And maybe that's the whole thing. I don't, personally, I don't know if there's, some omniscient God that like has a multiple choice test that's like, okay, they got the gay thing right, but they didn't get the this thing right. Like that seems crazy to me because we're all born in these different parts of the world with all these different belief systems. But I do think that there's a pretty good chance that there's this all-loving, any book that I've read, especially the Bible, and all-loving and all-forgiving and all like justice-seeking creator or light or whatever that is going to understand how hard the dance is and just give us like so much more grace and forgiveness than we could ever think of.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to matter as much as we think it does, which just helps me in my anxiety. Because where I get really anxious is like, I need to play a stadium. I need to be the guy that everybody remembers, in my gross shadow thoughts that are vulnerable, but it's true.
But see, I love that perspective on it because it's always weird to me thinking that people chase so much clout all the time. Like people chase popularity, they chase being the one that's on they chase all of this. Like they just chase the views, they chase the followers, they chase all this. And it's like, at the end of the day, Justin Bieber is just a human. All of these people that, all of these other people worship, they're all just people. If you sat down with them just like this, they'd all probably have the same thoughts and the same concerns and the same anxieties and the same worries. Yeah. So that's kind of anxiety calming. It really is because it makes you think like we're all on this big rock that's just spinning.
This little marble in
spinning.
Infinity.
No, it really is, and it's scary at times too. Like I never want to go to space because it freaks me the hell out. I'm like,
I want to go to space.
You want to go to space?
Yeah, so bad.
Why?
Not that I'd want to like go to Mars. Like and spend 60 years of my life and like try to colonize another planet. But when commercial space travel happens, your boy's gonna be on the first flight. Just because I think there's a phenomenon that happens with astronauts. It has a name, but I don't remember. And it's like this. A lot of astronauts come down like very changed or like they have a different perspective because a lot of them talk about how it's kind of this fishbowl thing where like, oh, look at all these monkeys trying to stay busy till they die.
That's what I'm saying.
Correct.
That's why
I love
I'm terrified.
that. And that's something like one of the tattoos I want to get is just zoom out, which is if you could continue to zoom out, eventually be in space, and eventually Earth is nothing. It is nothing. All our little worries and all of our... Oh, yeah. It's scary.
I think allowing myself to zoom out would take away that drive that we both talked about, that we both have, that we just keep wanting to push the boundary.
Which is why it's a tool, not a belief. It's something that you can have in your pocket, not for all the time. Because if you live and zoom out, you just are
You're just a hippie
flying
in the
through
forest.
space.
Yeah, literally.
And there's no reason for anything, and that's just nihilism. That's just like, who cares? We're going to all die tomorrow, which I don't necessarily subscribe to that.
I'm such an all-in kind of person. Sure. To where like when my switch flips, I'm there. And so if I zoom out too much, I'm just going to stay that way.
Well, when you need to zoom out, you call your boy, because I got a little bit more forest hippie than you do. But I think it's a nice tool. I also sometimes like I'll say zoom in because I get to like, ethereal and like existential crises. And all of a sudden Jeff and I are at a Buffalo Wild Wings talking about the translations of Christ. And I'm like, whoa.
But it makes you think though, because in reality, like everything that we believe, this table, why this is wood, we've created that. Like 100%. We have created all of this.
We've entered one of my favorite conversations, which is just stoner land. Which is just
we're both sober.
Someone freaking.
We should do it. We should start another podcast and call it Sober Stoner Land.
Sober Stoner Land.
Let's do it.
I like Sober Stoners better. We're gonna work on the name and the split because I think you came up with and then you owe me from the TikTok stuff. We'll figure it out later.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. We're
but I do love these thoughts of like, it's true. Like anybody. This table, this notebook, this microphone, this water bottle, it was just an idea in somebody's head. And it like came to fruition, which is wild.
Even the language that we're speaking right now.
Oh, if you start thinking about language while you're speaking
it freaks
to another human,
I'm gonna start.
It's like, a full blown just error message in my brain.
But it is honestly like, not to bring it back to the conversation, but like maybe
Please do. Someone's got to keep us on track. I'm not going to do it.
No, but it's refreshing because it is so easy on apps like TikTok to get lost in who's the cool new person? What's the cool new trend? Yeah. What's the cool new hashtag? What is all these things? And it's like at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. No, none of it matters. It's just a way to reach other humans. It's a way to connect. Like, just like, somebody created the telephone, somebody created whatever it was, social media, whatever it was. Like, it's just another way to find a way to connect with human beings. Yeah. That's it.
Well, when we're social animals, I mean, at least for me, I'm so extroverted already. But I think our nature is to find tribe. It's to find community. And that's what's cool about TikTok is you can find people with your same beliefs and your same loves. And you get to find your tribe, which is really cool. And they cut out the middleman, which is so awesome because back in the day, you had to go through NBC to get a show to have something that was relatable like Seinfeld. Now,
but even then, it wasn't like those actual humans that you're connecting with.
Right.
I don't know why I just said that. Like, it was a character or something different that was just completely not, like, now it's almost like, I've talked to some artist friends in town too, and they're like, it's so hard because you don't have that, backstage situation anymore.
Correct.
There is no backstage. It's all like fan clubs and all that. It's not even a thing anymore. It's very much like, there's so many artists that are making videos every day that is like, what I had for breakfast, what I had, blah, blah, blah. It's so much there's so much consumption that artists that are not doing that think that they're falling behind and feel like they're falling behind because they aren't showing as much.
Oh, I fall into that pretty bad.
How do you balance that?
Grace, like the word that I try to tell myself the most in my life. Like I hope on my deathbed, if I have any thoughts or regrets or whatever, it's just grace. Like I've never been Spencer before. I've never tried to be a country artist at 26 independently. How could I know? Like it's so hard. Life is so hard. And to beat ourselves up, like, I don't know why I've got all the freaking Buddhist parables today, but there's like, I believe it's a Buddhist parable about like two arrows. And like, if you get shot with an arrow, that is an arrow. And the second arrow is suffering, and pain and suffering are different. Like the first one is real pain. Then the second arrow that you can kind of shoot into your own leg, if you will, is the arrow of suffering, is sitting there and ruminating about it and being like, oh my gosh, why did I get shot with an arrow? Like that's like doubling your suffering when you don't have to. You can take it as a learning, maybe not an arrow to your leg. Now let's get back to, TikTok. You can use things as learning experience, and you can use them. Also like there's seasons. I think as I get more into this and as I grow up, like there are seasons of life where I am killing out on TikTok. I write every day. And then there are seasons, just like the actual seasons, like nature, where like trees just can't possibly be making all the time. They wilt and they need to be pruned, and then that's how they come back. And
you need to be
beautiful.
pruned, Spencer.
Yeah, I need to be pruned. I'm telling you.
No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And that's, I think too, like, you even see on TikTok, people talk about, I love, September Addison Rae. People say that kind of stuff, and it's like, if you expect somebody to keep evolving and keep growing and keep giving you something new to consume, you can't get mad at them when they don't do what they did a couple months ago, because it's like this constant battle.
And let's be careful, and I'm talking to myself almost the most, is like, don't compare myself to somebody in a different season. Like you can see somebody like, I'm trying to think of an arbitrary example. I mean, even like Addison Rae, where like she's crushing it, right? She's everything she posts on the app. There might be a time before, that she wasn't crushing it, and there could be a time in the future where she also isn't crushing it. We cannot compare somebody's peak or when they're killing it to our moment right now. Like we are on our own journey, and I think something that Jeff always says, my manager, is good for them. Like nobody's
let them succeed.
You can, this is like a Gary Vee thing. Like you can build the tallest building in town without knocking down a single building. And in fact, this is just a Spencer parable at this point. If you go around building other people's buildings and all the other buildings get built first, everyone would come to your building and say, like, how can we help? And that's what Nashville's about. That's what I want to be about. I think that's what you're about. That's
Absolutely.
why you're one of my favorite people, is you're constantly like, how can I help you? What can I do for you? With no expectation that, anybody's going to come over and just start building your building just because you helped.
Well, and also, too, like, personally, I think competition is a bunch of bullshit, like, to be completely honest, just because nobody is the same. Even if I look very similar to another human, or they look very similar to me, or somebody, whatever, same thing, like, nobody is the same, and nobody can do exactly what you can do, and you can't do exactly what they can do. So, like, competition to me if you actually know who you are and what you want to do, and you can build a career based off of that, nobody else can do what you're doing. Because even like you said, when you first came to town, you were trying to be so-and-so, but they were like, we already have a so-and-so. You weren't going to make it farther than so-and-so because so-and-so knew exactly what they were doing.
I can't be a better Luke Combs than Luke Combs.
That's what I'm saying. But you can be a better Spencer than anybody else.
And
you know
I can be a better me than I am today.
Exactly.
And that's really the goal, is just evolution and growth. And like, I think you've done such a great job of it. That's why I do look up to you as one of the people in town who, I think you have a lot of self-awareness, even in our conversations of like, that didn't go the way I wanted it to, and here's why. Like, you actually take stock of what's going on in your life, and then I watch you actually not make the same mistake or like grow or add someone to your team, and that's like, it's super inspiring. It's really great.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
You're the best.
You're the freaking best.
You're the best.
I'm so glad that you came. I feel like we had a cancellation, and I was kind of stressing, and then I was like, oh, who's one of my favorite people in town? And you were one of the first people I thought of.
Well, thank you for calling me.
You're single under June 1st.
June 1st.
This will be out post June 1st. And that's
So go listen to it, guys.
So you can listen right now to Ashley Cooke Single Under. Is there anything you'd like to finish with? Any, thoughts, qualms, questions, concerns?
Just that I really believe in you as a human and as a friend. And I really appreciate you being my friend and believing in me always too.
I said I was going to make you cry, but you bastard.
I'm serious though.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I do not feel the same way about you, but I'm so.
That's fine. Okay, anyways, let's cut the tape. Let's go.
No, I feel the exact same way about you, and I'm so glad that you copied me on TikTok, and now we're friends. I couldn't be more happy
taking
that.
credit for it, Spencer.
I for real could not be more happy that you're one of my good friends in town, and I'm so pumped for you and always here for you in any regard.
You're the best. My person.
That's got to be 10 at home.
Guys, go listen to Spencer's new EP that he just dropped.
Yeah, that'll be out in the future too. Lost in the Wild. Check it out. Comes out
tonight.
We record on the 27th of May. It's coming out on the 28th of May. So, check it out. Do your thing. Do your thing.
Sometimes soon.
All right, get out of here, you crazy kid.
You're the best.
All right, loves. Appreciate you. All right, there it is. That's another episode of Why Are We Here? Again, I'm your host, Spencer Crandall. Thank you so much for watching. We're a brand new podcast. So we really appreciate the subscription wherever you listen to or on YouTube. We have a Instagram now at whyarewehere_podcast. So hit us up, tag us in your stories. We're going to do some reposting. Let us know what you like about the episode, who you want on as guests. We have a bunch of new guests coming. So stay tuned. And thank you again for watching or listening. We appreciate you. We love you. See you again next week.